If they have a condo or a house, do they own it or are they renting? And what about their car? Do they have any other property? What's the legal status of all these things? An attorney is going to be a great member of your team, and we've had to go to the attorney for various other reasons pertinent to our situation. It's great when you've got that attorney who knows your situation already and is there to help you. There are attorneys in this area because we have a high percentage of elderly people. There is a branch of law called elder law. If your person does not already have a personal attorney, I would strongly advise trying to find an attorney who specializes in elder law. They're going to know about issues that you have never thought of, and you will need help with those things.
That's a good resource.
Absolutely. And it's peace of mind. Of course, you're going to want to talk about doctors. If your person already has doctors, you're going to want to become familiar with them and have them become familiar with you. When I first got here, both of my parents were going to somebody as a GP, and he had them on numerous prescriptions. To make a long story short, I did some research. I had him do more testing on my parents about the prescriptions, and it turned out my mother was able to go on 0 prescriptions, and my father is on 1.
Wow.
I also found out that instead of being a GP, he was actually a lung specialist. Neither of my parents had lung problems. I don't know, and they couldn't explain to me why they were going to this particular doctor, but he was the wrong doctor for them. I've gotten them to a different doctor. And also, over time, they've needed some specialty doctors, skin cancer doctors, cardiologists, specialists like that. And those are going to be your medical team. And you need to have that team for the particular needs of your family members. Mm-hmm. Also, you're going to be surprised that you may need to do some research on what does your family member own in terms of property. I just got a real shock recently because I knew that my dad owned his condo outright. I went to the tax collector's office to change my driver's license and just on an impulse said, "How are the taxes on my dad's condo?" The lady looked it up and she said, "Great, your dad's condo taxes are fine, but he's behind in his taxes for the other 2 pieces of property that he owns." I said, "What other 2 pieces of property?" She said, "Well, he owns 2 other pieces of property and he's behind in his taxes and you might want to look into that." She said, "Why don't you go down to the tax assessor's office and talk to them?" I got down there. The lady talked to me. She printed out some information for me. I went home and said to my dad, "Do you own 2 other pieces of property?" And he says, "Oh, yeah."
You're like, "Oh, sure I do."
Yeah.
Why don't you don't know that?
I had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a very good thing to check into, and it's not something that you might think of.
Now, Robin, you mentioned about the attorney having a good team. First thing as attorney, and I think that is really, really awesome for you to think about that first, because normally as a caregivers, we don't think that's the first thing to do. But what service have you used or are you using to care for your dad when you're not home? Who are you using?
Oh, I do have some people who assist, and I have we have Health First Insurance, and they have private duty caregivers. We found a wonderful lady who comes in for 4 hours every day. She cooks him a hot, nourishing meal every day, and she will do light housekeeping. And actually, we kind of laugh about it because I'm very into housekeeping, so I'd be doing things myself. But she says she's there for 4 hours, and so she wants me to leave things for her to do. So she changes his bed. She changes out the linens in his bathroom. She washes clothes, and she does some light housekeeping. And because she's there for 4 hours, that's when I am free to go out and run errands, go to the grocery store, meet friends for breakfast or lunch, go to the library, just do some things for me. And we also have a wonderful thing that I found out about, which is in-home hospice care. We got involved with that after I read about it in a magazine, and we got signed up for that. So from that, my dad has a whole team of people who come to help out with him. Every day he has somebody who shows up and helps him take his shower and helps him get dressed in the morning. That is invaluable. Mm. We also have a nurse who comes once a week and checks him and sees that he is doing all right physically. There's a chaplain who comes and talks to him. And we have a doctor who, believe it or not, makes house calls. You know how rare that is.
You have the A team, really not just a team.
Yes. And it's been surprising to me how few people know that this is available.
Now, is this a private service that you went out and you hired them? Is this through a company or?
Well, there are two different companies in this area who are the major providers of this service that I am aware of. One is called St. Francis, and that's through the Catholic charity. But the people we went through are called VITAS, and that is V as in Victor, ITAS. They are the nation's largest hospice provider. And people thought, and actually it started out that hospice was at end-of-life care, and people would go into a hospice and be cared for there prior to death. But hospice has really evolved, and now they have what's called in-home hospice. They come to your home. They come with everything that the client needs. So, for example, when my mom was dying, they brought in a hospital bed. We had nurses around the clock, 24/7, taking care of her, providing her with pain meds so that she never suffered, seeing that she stayed hydrated. It was fantastic, and I cannot recommend them highly enough. They are such a help.
So how did you deal with all of everything going on too? I know your mom had passed away and you still had the responsibility of looking after your dad. How do you continue to keep going on even now, every day?
It's hard. It really is. It's a struggle every day. I'm not going to lie. And you get to the point sometimes where you feel so overwhelmed, you wonder if you can go on. But you have to, because there's nobody else to do it. So it's one of those things that you keep struggling. And I will say it has been helpful to have friends. If you're inclined to this, the church is always a source of strength. And it helps to talk to other people. I will say the biggest surprise that I have discovered is that how many times I have just casually mentioned that I'm doing caregiving, and so many people will respond by saying, I know exactly what you're going through because I was a caregiver or I am a caregiver. Mm-hmm. I'd say about 80% of the people that I meet have some kind of caregiving experience. It's amazing.
Well, it's also good as a caregiver to have a support system.
Yes, absolutely.
It's vital to be able to have someone that you can talk about your struggles to. You can talk about the issues you're dealing with and share resources together. And have you seen the benefit in having a support system?
Oh, absolutely. And that's what I was talking about. I do run across people who are trying to deal with this on their own. You don't need to, and please don't do that, because you will really run yourself into the ground. It is very tiring, it's draining, it's stressful, and you need to have help. And there's help available. I did want to mention specifically one of the agencies in this area that is called Aging Matters in Brevard. They are a clearinghouse agency. They don't provide services themselves, but they work with about 40 different agencies. If you call them up, and they're in the phone book, and you say, here's the problem that I'm struggling with, they can hook you up with help. They're great.
So have you used them as well?
Yes, because I've had different problems, and sometimes it's a problem that's very short term. For example, I know that there are times that people may have car problems, but they have someone they're caregiving for who needs to get to that doctor's appointment. You can call Aging Matters in Brevard. They will put you through to, there's a car service where if you need a ride to something like a doctor's appointment, they'll get you there and home. How great is that?
That is amazing. I mean, it's really good that you're bringing all of this up, because as caregivers, one, most of the time don't have time to really research. But I know you're saying to take the time, but then sometimes when you're so caught up in caring for the person, you don't have time. But it's good to know that we have resources.
Yes.
That is available.
Yes.
And is there anything else that you would like to share with our listeners?
I would like to give a plug for the libraries, because they have so many resources available. When you're a caregiver, not only do they have the books that you can do research in, but every library has programs that they have available for you. Many of them have exercise programs. You need to stay in good shape yourself. They have movies. They have classes. This has been a great resource for me to just get me out of the house, and a lot of these things go on during the day. So when I have other people at the house covering for me, I can get out and go do something, and it just takes your mind off everything, and that's what you need to do. And they also, of course, have DVDs, CDs, books, magazines, all those things that you can check out, take home, so that even though you may feel that you're stuck at home, you still have some entertainment and some mental and emotional relief. So they're great.
Well, we're living in a society where a lot of us are we find ourselves taking care of a lot of people.
Yes.
Whether they are sick or maybe on the verge of being sick or whatever, for whatever reason. And it is good to be able to know that you're not alone. And I believe that's what you're basically telling us.
Yes.
That you're not alone.
Exactly.
And that you help. And most of the time it's asking.
Yes. Yes, that's been the key, because when you start off and you're in this situation, you're just looking around going, what do I do? Where is help? How do I find someone? And I did that at first. I was looking through the phone book. I was desperately looking in the back of books, trying to find organizations. But as I started asking for help and talking to people, I found out, yes, there is help available. You're going to have to make a little effort to contact these people. But once you do, the help is absolutely there. And there are so many people and so many organizations out there. So I just hope that people realize, don't struggle by yourself. Don't think that you're alone. Don't think that you have to do it all on your own.
Well, thank you, Robin, for coming out and sharing with us. And we know that you have definitely given us a lot of resources and a lot of things to think about as well. So we appreciate you coming out.
You're welcome.
And thank you, listeners, for listening to Live with Necee. I am your host, Opal Bailey. God bless.